Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be taking a look at a puzzle that's been recommended to us many times by the great Math Pesto. It's not been recommended many times by Math Pesto themselves. It's been recommended by fans of Math Pesto puzzles. It's called Gouge Away. I have no idea why, but I looked this up on Logic Masters Germany when I saw that the testers thought this would be a good one for a video, and there is a comment on here that I really love from Cam, who I think is an excellent solver. You see Cam commenting on a lot of puzzles on Logic Masters, so I think Cam solves a lot. And Cam writes, "I'm so incredibly confused. This is 100% the hardest puzzle I've ever seen. I'm extremely confident I've followed the intended solve path, and yet it has a ton of solves and a 4-star rating. I really don't get it." And all that said, I loved it. Wonderful puzzle, blah, blah, blah. But I love the idea. And I think it's a feeling we'll all have come across where, a puzzle is rated, 1 star. And you look at it and you think, but how do you even start? Anyway, this is what I will read you the rules. The rules are fairly straightforward, actually, today. In a moment or two's time. A couple of things to mention first. I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of recent puzzles, actually, that people have really been enjoying from the channel. The first one is this. Yes, that is a puzzle. Samantha Mukherjee's Miracle Sudoku. Really, really amazing. Very, very enjoyable. Do check that out. Not that difficult, really. And then yesterday's puzzle. This deserves a shout out all of its own. Loop Nurikabe by Jakub and Woofer ZFG. This puzzle took me 2 hours 45 minutes to solve, and yet many people have watched the video and seem to have enjoyed it. So if you like your puzzles baked very, very hard indeed, check that one out. Now, other news. Over on Patreon tomorrow, no less, we have a brand new Sudoku hunt from none other than Glum Hippo for you to enjoy. 4 p.m. UK time is the time that will launch. Snake Egg Sudoku hybrids. Absolutely sensational puzzles. If you've never done a snake egg puzzle before, actually, yeah, there's an amazing snake egg puzzle from the early days of the channel. If I remember, I will try and put a link to the screen. Have a go at that, and then you will experience the wonder and joy of snake egg ready for the competition tomorrow. So check that out. That should be a lot of fun. And then I'm still working my way through the list of birthdays post my vacation, so some of these are a little late. I apologize for that. Some of these are for today, though. Let's start off with Alicia, whose husband Shane wrote to me. And Alicia, your birthday is today, I think, so happy birthday. I understand you've watched every video for the last 2 years, and that your 1-year-old son Theo even knows the music and comes running when he hears it. That's just wonderful. Alicia, happy birthday. I hope you have chocolate cake, obviously. Next, now this one is late, I'm afraid. Andrew, you turned 10 over there in Kitchener, Canada. I think, is that in Ontario? Might be wrong, not sure. But your parents, Chris and Kim, wrote and said, well, your birthday was on April the 22nd, I think, and the whole family watches, which is wonderful. So Andrew, I hope you had a brilliant birthday. Next, over there in Norway today, Iri, you have turned 22. And I know this because your girlfriend Julie wrote to us and told us that today you're having chocolate brownies and chocolate chip cookies. And she also said she loves you so much. But I have to say I was focused on the brownies and the cookies. But Iri, many happy returns. Next, Jan, you've turned 23. And I know this because your girlfriend Natalia wrote to us and described you as a wonderful life companion and one of the most talented and kindest people she knows. So I hope that is nice to hear on your birthday, which my notes suggest maybe today. I hope that's right. Jan, many happy returns. Lisa, now this one's late. Lisa over there in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, I think. April the 21st was your birthday, and I know this because Robert wrote to us and let us know. So Lisa, I hope you had a great day. Oh gosh, I'm over a week late with that one. Now today, another birthday for today, Melanie, from your husband Ben. I understand that you're a big fan of the channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have chocolate cake. And another late one, again from April the 21st. And this is to Sarah, who turned 54 back on April the 21st. And we had an email from your son, Christian, but he was keen to emphasise that this birthday wish, Sarah, is from the whole family. Larry, Madison, Christian, Lillian and Mota. I'm guessing the last one might be a pet. I'm not sure. But I think you're originally from Bainbridge Island, Washington, but moved to Gulfport, Florida recently. So, Sarah, anyway, many happy returns. I hope it was a great birthday. And finally, over there in Austria, another late birthday. This is from April the 20th. Zelda. Zelda, it was your first birthday. I can't believe you watched the channel, but your dad Ingo wrote to us and told us that you did, and you find the videos calming. Good grief. Well, Zelda, many happy returns. I'm guessing you probably won't be allowed chocolate cake. Maybe chocolate milk, maybe, if you were lucky. But anyway, many happy returns, Zelda. I'm delighted to hear you watch the videos. And with all that said and done, let us turn our attention to actually doing some Sudoku solving. It's Sudoku today, after logic puzzle yesterday. These are the rules of Gouge Away by Math Pesto. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Okay, digits cannot repeat inside a cage. Yeah, okay. Alright, I was a bit nonplussed by that at first blush, because I thought that normally in a cage you get a total, but these do not have totals, so really, no, well literally all we're being told is that there isn't a repeated digit in those 7 cells there. There is not a repeated digit in those 9 cells there, so at least that's got to have one of each digit. Quads. Digits in a white circle must appear at least once each in the 4 surrounding cells, so there has to be a 1 and a 6 in that little quadruple. There has to be a 3, 7 and 8 in this one, a 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one, and a 4, 5, 8 in that one. And then these circles are double arrow clues. Digits on a line must have the same sum as the sum of the circles on the line's ends. So what that's saying is, let's look at this one. Those 2 digits there, let's highlight them in purple, sum to the same thing as the arrows on the end of the line. So these 2 digits sum to those 2 digits. That's what we're being told. And the same is going to be true. Let's look for another example. That one and that one. So those 2 digits are the sum of those 3 digits. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I can see there's roping. Should we start with that? What do I mean by roping? Well, this is this classic pattern. Whereby, if we just think about those digits there and ask where they go in box 3, because these digits can't repeat within the cage and they can't repeat within their own row, they have to go there, look, which means they go there in row 1. And then you can repeat this. Where do these 3 digits go? In box 2 now. Well, these 3 digits are not the same as the green digits, so they don't go there by Sudoku, so they go there, and therefore they go there, which means these 3 digits, and these 3 and these 3 have to be the same. And you get this sort of pattern emerging, which which isn't very useful at first blush. Yeah, okay. I'm not even sure whether to maintain that highlighting. I mean, I'm going to take it out for a moment because I can see that we've got an identical pattern. In fact, that is interesting. If I draw, sorry, I've only just noticed this, but I'm going to just show you. If I draw that diagonal in, imagine the grid. That's really lovely, isn't it? Imagine the grid is folded over along that diagonal. We folded it in half, with this being the crease. I might be wrong. Oh no, I am. I am wrong. I thought that there was perfect symmetry other than the digits on the quadruples. That's not quite true. This line here has a little kink in it, whereas which doesn't reflect on this side. You can see here it's perfectly symmetrical, but here it isn't. So it's very nearly absolutely symmetrical around the crease, but not quite. Whoopsie. I don't know what that means, by the way, but I just thought I'd notice it. Well, the reason I started to think about that was there's also roping in the columns, in columns 1, 2 and 3, because of this pattern, which is identical to this pattern, just rotated. So those 3 squares have to go there and there, which means these 3 go here, here and here. But again, I mean, there's nothing other than this 1/6 quadruple. There just isn't enough information to do anything with roping, I don't think, in columns 1, 2, 3 or rows 1, 2 and 3. So I am now thinking we need to focus our attention on the bottom, this sort of, these 4 boxes. Yeah, I mean, well, let's take the low-hanging fruit. We can enable that with 2, 3, 4 and 5. And 3 has to be in one of those squares, doesn't it? So that's definitely not 3. And 4 and 5 have to be in these squares, so that's definitely not 4 and 5. I don't know what to do with that. That doesn't actually look very helpful at all. No, okay. We've got 2 9-cell regions there. This could be set. We had sort of set yesterday, didn't we? Or not yesterday. Was it the day before yesterday? Sorry, I haven't got anything to tell you at the moment. Not really even sure where to look here. I mean, the double arrow clues, I might be wrong, but I don't really think they're amazingly powerful. I mean, knowing those 2 digits sum up to those 2, these 2 digits sum up to those 2. I mean, there just seems to be a really quite a large degree of flexibility. Normally a 3-cell arrow would be quite an exciting thing, but when it's a 3-cell arrow adding up to 2 circles, it becomes very uninteresting. Yeah, it's some geometry thing, I think, this. I don't know what the geometry thing is. It could be set, it could be... Okay, here's something. Those 3 digits, let's look at those. Where do those 3 digits go in column 9? That feels a reasonable question to ask, because these 3 digits can't repeat in their own cage. So they are the same as those digits, aren't they? But, well, the mathematics of this have to be preserved. So what we're saying here is that this square plus this square is equal to those 2 digits. So these 2 digits must be the same as those 2 digits, mustn't they? Because there's exactly the same equation that's going on along this line. So actually what we're learning here, actually I'm going to change the colouring. We're learning that is true. These 2 digits are the same as these 2 digits, and those 2 digits are the same, which means the sum of this line is even, because this is, I mean, imagine that was A, this line, those 2 sum to 2A, so these have to add up to an even number. So these 2 have the same parity. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, the only thing that I can see that does happen that's in... no, actually, okay. All right. I'm reluctant to do this, but Mark would do it. And Mark's a very good Sudoku solver, so I'm going to do it as well. On this occasion only. What are the digits then that qualify as being possible in green? Because I don't think green can be 9 now. Because if green was 9, then those are both 9, and there's no possible way we can fill these two squares. And the other thing here is, look, 3, 7 and 8 are knocked out of this square. So actually this is only 1, 2, 4, 5 or 6. Now 1 is also not going to work, is it? Because we can't double 1 those two squares. Because then these two would also, well, they would also have to be double 1 for the maths to work. If these were double 2, these would have to be a 1, 3 pair. No, I don't know if that's possible or not. That doesn't actually feel impossible to me. I tell you what I think is happening. I don't know how it's happening. All right, but this is what I'm thinking. This is a 2, 3, 4, 5 quadruple. Somehow every cell in this quadruple is going to see that square and make it a 6, is my prediction. Which would make this double 6. This would have to add up to 12. How does this quadruple impact on this cell? I don't know actually. Oh dear, I don't think I've got to the bottom of this at all at the moment. Nearly. I was about to say, where does this square, this one here, where the cursor is, where does that square go in this box? And I was about to triumphantly state it has to go there, but that's not true. Because in this puzzle, normally, when it's single arrows, you can't put a digit on its own arrow. But in this puzzle, you actually can. Because if this square was in one of those 3 squares, that's okay, isn't it? Because all that's saying is these sort of cancel out from the equation and the other 2 would add up to that one, which is fine, providing this isn't a tiny little number. You can so in this puzzle, well, you couldn't do it there for obvious reasons, but you couldn't do it where it was a 1 cell arrow. But there are maybe that's the only 1 cell arrow I'm seeing. Yeah, so we're... So that's actually not very useful. So the same is true of that square, isn't it? That square is either... Because it can't repeat within its cage, that square there is not in those cells. So in this box it is either on its own arrow, which would make that digit sum to 2 of these digits, or it's there. Which is potentially interesting, maybe. Hang on a minute. Yeah, okay. Here's a different way of thinking about that same point, but I need to bring this one into the thinking to make this point. Okay, by Sudoku, where is the red digit in this box? And the answer is, we don't know, but it's in one of those squares, isn't it? It's in one of those 4 squares. By Sudoku, where is the orange digit in this box? And because it can't repeat within its cage, it is also in one of these squares. Now, the only point I'd make, therefore, is that this square is now either red or orange. And that's because we can't put red and orange on this line, because the mathematics of that is going to be a plus b equals a plus b plus c, where c is non-zero, c being the other digit in there. So we can't put both these digits on their own arrow. So one of them must go there. But I don't know which one. Ah, or do I? No, I don't. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, that's really interesting, though. I mean, if this one is red, then that would become a 2 or a 3, because this square cannot be a 4 or a 5 in this box because of the quadruple clue, and that would give me a 2-3 pair around the quadruple and make this a 4-5 pair. Okay. Okay, I don't know what that means. So one of these goes here. The other one. That's really clever. Right. Yeah, the point is what happens to the other one, isn't it? No. Oh, no, hang on. I've now confused myself thoroughly. Sorry. I might be about to say something that's more appropriate to being muttered by a gibbering chimp. If that one, let's just say that's orange, because I'm getting distracted by this. If that's orange, yeah, no, I think my gibbering chimp comment was slightly harsh. Okay, so let's imagine that this square here was actually orange. I'm actually going to just play this out. So now we know that by Sudoku, red is on its own arrow line. Yeah, this is very weird, isn't it? Because what that would mean... So from an equation point of view, this red on this line cancels with this. They are equivalent, which means that the 2 cells here that are not red have to equal this, which if this was tiny, and it is tiny... Yeah, okay, so this can't be 2, because let's just step back a step or 2. If this was 2, it doesn't matter which one of these is the same as this. The point is that 2 of the digits on this line would then have to add up to 2, which doesn't work. So this comes down to being 3, 4, or 5. And if it was 3, this line would have to contain a 1-2 pair. If it's a 4, it has to contain a 1-3 pair. If it's a 5, there would be different options. So now, if this digit was red, it would be a 3, and this line would contain a 1-2 pair. Okay. This is really interesting, isn't it? It's very. I'm actually finding it quite difficult to get my head around, because there's like a secondary effect that doesn't feel quite natural, but I think it is there. Let's just step through the logic again. What we're saying is that these two digits, one of them goes here, but then the other one is thrown onto the line and cancels with itself. So the other two digits on the line do have to add up to that one, even though it's not on the line. It's weird. It's weird. Right, and the thought I was having then was, but this shape is very similar to this shape, isn't it? So can I just do this logic over and again? I have a feeling it's going to mean that square is not a 2, and we're going to have 2 in one of those squares. But now, it might be slightly different because we do at least know the options for that square. Yeah, so let's... how should we do this? Well, we may as well retain the green for that one. We just need to give this one a colour. So we'll make this one grey. So what we're saying is, same logic again, where is green in this box? And the answer is we don't know, but it's in one of those squares. Where is grey in this box? Again, can't repeat in its own cage, so it is in one of those squares. Could we put green and grey on their own line together? No, because the third digit would break the equation. So this square is either grey or green. And the other, so whichever one of these this isn't, that goes on its line, and therefore the other two digits do have to sum to this digit, which is therefore not able to be 2. Oh, there's something going on, isn't there? So if this was 3, then that wouldn't be able to be that one. So that would be 3. Oh. I want to say that doesn't work. This is really confusing me. I understand Cam's comment. What was it? I mean, it may be not the hardest puzzle I've ever seen, but it's definitely, it's very strange logic. It really is. So if that's 3, I have to put 3 here. A moth just flew by me. I suppose that's better than Maverick flying by me. If that's 3, one of these is 3. It has to be this one. Then this digit is going to cancel out with itself on the line. So there's 2 digits on here that have to add up to 3, which would be a 1-2 pair. But then that doesn't work. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Although I'm not sure about the other way round, but I can tell you this is not 3. And this is quite pretty, actually, because if this is 3, not only does this have to be 3, because it's the only one of the circles that can work, but we now know there's a 1-2 pair on here. Oh, I'm wrong. Oh. Well, or am I? No, it's still wrong. Gosh, it's really complicated, actually. It's very complicated. Okay, so what we're saying now is that green, whatever it is, appears on this line. Therefore, the other two digits on this line to make this equation work have to add up to 3. So they have to be a 1-2 pair. Now that means because there's a 1-2 pair on here, this square couldn't be a 2. So the next question I want to ask is where does this 1-2 pair go in this 9-cell region, given that this is not a 2? And the answer is, well, they can't go in their own box. They aren't equal to that one. They're not equal to that one. So they have to go there, and that's not going to work because this quadruple contains 4, 5, and 8. It doesn't also contain 1 and 2, or there would be 5 digits in that quadruple. So I've now concluded, it took me a while, that that square is not a 3. Now, can we do the same thing with 4? I don't know, because it's going to get more complicated now. Although, is it? Or is it the same point? Yeah, I mean, if that's 4, we can see this cannot be 4 because there's a 4, 5, 8 quadruple here, so that would have to be 4. But that's still a problem, because now this digit has to be, well, this digit is appearing on the lines there. We don't know what this digit is. Let's just say it's 9 or something. So there's a 9 on here. But for the maths of this to work, the 9s are going to cancel out. So the other two digits on here will have to add up to 4. They will have to be a 1-3 pair. And therefore, where do we put? Now this can't be 1 or 3, because that would put a second 1 or 3 on the line. So where do we put 1 and 3 in this this 9-cell cage? They've got to be there again, and that can't work because this is a 4, 5, well, it includes 4, 5, and 8. It can have one of 1 and 3, but it can't have both. So that means that I've got a digit. That's a 5, which I'm delighted about. I can take 5 out of these squares. So one of these is a 5. Well, that's great. I know which one. Because it's not this one, because there's a 4, 5, 8. Oh, this is gorgeous. So there's a 5 over here. Well, now this is the digit that goes up there, look. So these two digits add up to 10, which is unfortunately a very middly total for 2 cells to have to sum to. Right, so in fact that becomes green, doesn't it? So these are not green. So the grey... Right, so grey cancels out on the line. There are 2 digits on here that sum up to 5. But this now can work, because could that be a 2-3 pair? No, because if it's 2-3, we've got to put 2-3 down there, in this cage. So in fact, the only way it will work is if these include a 1 and a 4, and this is a 1-4 pair, and that's beautiful. That does work, because I've only increased the quota of digits in the bottom right hand corner by 1, not 2, because 4 is allowed. So this is now a 5-8 pair. This digit is something, but we don't know what. But it ends up on this line, along with 1 and 4. Yeah, so you can see how this works. I mean, imagine if that's a 2. Then 2 ends up on the line by Sudoku. Cancels itself out with this, so this square has to, so the other 2 that are not 2 in here have to add up to this one, which is why they would be a 1-4 pair. So 2 and 5 is 7, 1, 2, 4, obviously sum to 7. So it works. It does work. Mathematics does work. You'll be relieved. Some of you will be relieved to hear that. It's just complicated. So now I'm going to come back and think about this one, I think. That's nearly so cool, but it's not quite so cool. Because if that's 3, then it's not that one. Oh, but that, hang on. No, what I was about to say is nonsense again. But this is a very small digit now. Yeah, if that's 3, it can't go there because of this quadruple clue. So it would go there. And then, so that's 3. That's 3. That's 2. That's 4. I don't think there's a problem with that. I'm not sure. Sorry, if you can see what's going on here, well done. I am not quite spotting it, am I? What about if that's 4? If that's 4, I can see it goes the other way round, in the sense this can't be 4, because there's a 4 in that quadruple. So if that's 4, that becomes 4. So then 2 digits in here would have to sum up to, so then there would be a 1 and a 3 in there. So there's always, these squares always include 1 for certain, and either 2 or 3, depending on what this digit is. If that's 3, if that's 4, yeah, okay, here's another thought. Where exactly is 3 in box 9? And I don't think we know the answer to that, but we can restrict it, because if this is 4, then you can see that by the quadruple clue, this becomes 3, because if this is 4, this is 2, and we've still got to put a 3 around the quadruple clue. So if this is 4, this is 3. But if this is 3, this is 3, because this can't be. So actually the 3 in box 9 is locked into one of 2 places. And I don't know if that works the same way the other way round, but it might do. So if this, it's going to be in this box with 4, isn't it? Which might actually be more useful. So if this is 4, then we know this is 4. But if this is 3, that's 2, and that, yeah, so the 4 in this box is in one of 2 places by the same. So it's a sort of the way it feeds around this quadruple clue. This is really bizarre. It's very clever, this. It really is very clever. Oh, sorry, no. Alright, cut all that. This is, there's something much more straightforward. How could that ever be 5? Sorry, I should have seen that instantly. I didn't see it. I've only just looked at it. If that's 5, these 2 squares have to add up to 5, but they couldn't be 1, 4, and they can't be 2, 3, because that's going to break that square. Isn't that beautiful? So that is always 8. This is always 5. Right. So now, what are these digits? They have to sum to 8. They don't use 3, 5, and they're not 1, 7, so they have to be 2, 6. So this square can never be a 3 now, so that must be the 3. So that's a 4, and that's a 2, and that's a 4 by dint of the fact that we have to put this digit in one of these circles. These 2 squares are a 2, 6 pair. These squares are 7 and 9. Now we know that there must be 2 digits in here that are 1 and 3 that add up to this one, and this digit appears in one of these squares. So this red digit is in one of those squares. Which is probably very important. 4 is up there by Sudoku. And this digit is either, well, no, this digit is on this line. So it would be very nice to know. So this is either 124 or it's 146. I don't know if there's a way to tell which of those is important. Where is, look at those two digits. They have to add up to 9. But these digits include 7. So we can't put 7 on the line because it would need a 2. So there's a 7 up there. And that means either 3 or 8 is on this line, because one of them must be by quadruple logic. Now, not both of them, because 3 and 8 don't add up to 9. So these squares are from 3, 8 and 7, definitely include 7. And this line is either 3, 6 or 1, 8. Definitely. Oh no, I thought I was going to get it by dint of the 1-inch there, but no. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. What can we do with this? Maybe I'm meant to pencil mark these squares up then. So this is either 142 or 146. This is either 132 or 136. That's definitely not 3. So there is definitely a 3 down here, look. That's definitely not 2 by dint of Sudoku. 9 in this box has to be in one of those two squares for sure. Oh, 5. Can't repeat. So there's the roping thing going on in the top, isn't there? So 5 has to be in one of these squares, one of these squares. That's probably important. But I don't know why. How can we, what can we do now to help us? 5 is in one of those squares. It doesn't feel like there's enough lines left for us to really make progress here. Am I going mad? Perfectly possible that's not a 2. Just notice this 2's knocking itself out of there. Do I know? No, I don't know whether there's a 2 in here or not. There might be a 2, but we don't know that. There's definitely a red digit, but the red digit might be a 6. Yeah, so if this is 2, 2 plus 4 is 6, this would be 1, 2, 3. That does make sense. Okay. Where is 7 in this box? It's got to be in those squares. Is that useful? I don't know. It might be. Are we going to, maybe I have to think about this digit. Maybe there's some restriction in what this digit can be. It doesn't feel very restricted at first blush, but let's think about it. So, could this be a 2? And the answer to that is these two squares would then have to add up to 7 without using 2, 5, without using 1, 6, and without using 4, 3. So that is not a 2. Definitely not. But could it be a 3? The answer to that is I don't know. If it was a 3, it would make this a 7, 8 pair. It would make this a 3, 6 pair. These two would have to add up to 8 without using 3, 5, without using 1, 7. So this would have to be a... that doesn't work because this would have to be a 2, 6 pair. And that means that we'd only be able to fill this line with 1 and 4, so that doesn't work. So this is not 4, it's not 5. This is quite big. This is quite a big digit. It's either 6, 8, or 9, actually. Now, what about if it's 6? If it's 6, these have to add up to 11. But they couldn't use, well, actually there would be options then. They couldn't use 4, 7 or 5, 6, but they could be 3, 8 potentially, or maybe 2, 9. And those digits have to go there as well, don't they? Oh, okay. So actually, if that is 6, here's something I hadn't noticed. That becomes a 2. And therefore, and because these digits are the same as these digits, you couldn't use 2, 9. So if that's 6, this has to be 3, 8, and that has to be 3, 8. And if that's 6, that would be 6. But if that's 8, these would have to add up to 13. And they would have to be 6. Ah, they can't. That doesn't work. Gosh, this is really fascinating, actually. So, if this is 8, these have to add up to 13, but 4, 9 is off the table, 6, 7 is off the table, and 5, 8 is off the table. So that is now right down to 6 or 9. And 9 is quite interesting. Ah, I've done it. Ah, this is beautiful. Right, so it is this digit, because if this is 9, these have to add up to 14 without using 5, 9. So they would be 6, 8. But if this is 6, it's 6. So there is always a 6 used in one of those 3 squares, which means there is not a 6 in those squares. So these are a 1, 2, 4 triple, and that square by dint of logic has now become a 2. That's become a 6. So we can take 2 out of here. This becomes 1, 3, and 6. Let's tidy up our pencil marks. Restore a pencil mark there. Now, does that do more, though? Surely it does. Surely it does. I just haven't worked out what. That's bizarre if it doesn't. Oh, there's a 2 over here. That's something it does do. So if this is 6, this is 3, 8, and this is 3, 8. So let's put that in. And we could say for certainty that that would be 3. So that it would have to go in this order. But if this is 9, then we know this is 6, 8. So this is always 8. But this is 3 or 6. So these squares include a 3, 7 pair now, which means these squares don't include 3, 6. So this is a 1, 8 pair. That gives me a 1 here by dint of Sudoku. And a 2, 4 pair. That loses its grayification. This is a 1, 2, 4 triple now. At the end of this row. And if that's 3, 7, that's got to be 6, and that's got to be 9. Which means this is now, I didn't put one of the options in here because I was getting obsessed with this, but this is now definitely 6, 8. So these squares are now known. They've got to be 3, 7, I think. And what about those 2 digits? They are 6 and 9. Just to complete this box's logic. So where is 6 in column 4 now? It's not here, and it's not here. So it must be in one of the top cells. And okay, so now we probably just have to do some Sudoku. What a terrifying thought. There's definitely an 8 over there. these two squares add up to 10 without using 4, 6 or 2, 8, so they are odd. So this is either a 1, okay, so it's either a 1, 9 pair like that, or a 3, 7 pair, which would be slightly different, look. Which might be important, but don't know quite how. Oh, okay, I'm stuck. What about... Okay, where is 5 in this box? And the answer is vertical. It's in one of those squares, so that is not a 5, which seems to mean that this is a 5. And that's going to be jolly important for the following reason. Come on, brain. What's the reason that's important? No idea. I've no idea. Okay. Golly, I don't know. What am I meant to do now? Is this somehow obvious? 1 and 3. No, I don't know. Don't think about things that are just clearly nonsensical, Simon. Okay. Yeah, of course. Right. Here is a point. Where are... If we look at this cage... If we look at this cage, these digits all have to make an appearance in this cage. So we've got to put 1 and 3 into this cage, and they can't go in there, and they're not equal to 6 and they're not equal to 4. So I can actually disambiguate this little quadruple in a way that is incredibly helpful. Maybe, or maybe not. Oh, that's so annoying. That's not done anything. Okay. What? Oh, it's okay. So it's going to be something to do with this line, isn't it? What are... Yeah, okay, let's think about what this circle can be. I can see it can't be 2, because then these two squares would have to add up to 6, and we get 2 1s in this box. So it's not 2, we know it's not 3, it's not 4, it's not 5, and it's not 6. So that's a big digit. That is a big old digit. That is 7, 8, or 9. Which of those it is, I do not know. If it was 7, can we make these add up to 11? No, because there's definitely a 5 here, so that's definitely not 7. If this is 8, these have to be 5, 7, and that, somewhat annoyingly, seems to work. Okay, so this is either 5, 7, or if this is 9, 4, this is 5, 8. Oh, bother. Oh, sorry. Okay, that is not as good as I thought. Okay, so where's 2 in this cage then? It's got to go there, doesn't it? Which means 2 is at the top here. And I must be able to do something with this digit now. That digit is not 5. So that is 7, 8, or 9. Okay, I'm going to claim this is not 8. That might be wrong, but don't I always have to have 8 on here? Because when this was 8, this was 5, 7, and when that was 9, this had to be 5, 8, I think. So there's always an 8 in one of those squares. There we go. So there's always an 8 up here. This is definitely not 8. And therefore, it's going to be this line, is it? Possibly. Oh, here's one point I can see straight away for this line. It's got to have a big digit in one of those two squares. Because look at this row. 7, 8 and 9 have not been placed, but we know that 2 of them go there. So what would happen if I put the third one there? Well, then the minimum sum of these two squares would be 15, but we know there would be a 3 on the line, so we couldn't possibly make this work. So the other, whatever's not used here, is definitely in one of those two squares. Which, well, that is limiting the value of this, is the only thing I can see there. Because that means that those 4 digits contain a 7, 8, 9 triple. Which means that this corner digit is not 7, 8 or 9, it's not 2, 5 or 6, so it is, that corner digit is 1, 3 or 4. And, well, okay, it's not 1. Because if it was 1, how would you make this work? These two would have to add up to 5, and they would have to not be 1, 4, because this would be a 1 in the corner. So they'd have to be 2, 3, and that square would break because of the 2, 3 pair in row 7. So that's not 1. If this is 3, these two have to add up to 7 without being 3, 4. So they would either be 1, 6, which would pair up there. 1, 6, I would do all sorts of things, or 2, 5. 2, 5 would be, oh look, there is a 2 in one of those squares. So if this is 3, oh, I don't know. It might be better to focus on these two. But what about if this is 4? Let's just have a quick think about this. If this is 4, these have to add up to 8. And they wouldn't use 3, 5. So they'd be 2, 6 again, the 2 here again, or 1, 7. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see how to do that. Let's check these two then instead. So if this is 3, oh no, alright, I'm going to change my mind again, sorry. Where is 1 in the bottom row? These two digits add up to at least 11. So we can't put 1 on the line because we'd have to accompany it with at least 10, wouldn't we? So 1 must be in the corner. 1, 4. 4 joins its friend 3 down here with pencil marking. So we've got a big digit here and a 3 or a 4. Yeah, okay. But I haven't actually, I don't think I've reduced the options for these squares at all. Oh, bobbins. Okay. Sorry, sorry if it's obvious as well. It could well be. I am not spotting it. Good grief. Am I going to have to go back to the shading at the start then? I'm not sure. I know there's an 8 in either one of those two squares. Here's another point. I know there's a 9 definitely in one of these two squares. I can't put 9 on that line. So 9 is a tiny bit restricted in box 7. I don't think it's roping, but I'm going to check it. So those digits can't go there, so they go there, and they go there. Then these digits, and these digits must be a flavour, and those digits must be a flavour. There we go. So we get that pattern. Now, how, if at all, is that helpful? One and six are either in yellow or green. So that square can't be a 1. That's a bit of a weird deduction, but that seems to be true. Oh, here is a tiny point. Because 1 and 6 are in yellow and green, in this box they have to be in those squares, which is quite interesting. Is that somehow doing... It's not, it means you can't put 1 and 6 on this line. That was an option if this was a 3 in the corner. Four, 8. This might be a 3 in the corner. If this was a 4, yeah, how does that work? Yeah, like this. If that's a 4 in the corner, what do we pick as the option for this? Now, if we pick 9, these two have to add up to 13, but they couldn't be 4, 9, they couldn't be 5, 8, they couldn't be 6, 7. So that's out of order. So this would have to be 8. But if this is 8, these two squares can't be 5, 7, they can't be 4, 8, so they'd have to be 3, 9, and we can't put a 9 in this box then. We know there's a 9 in one of those squares. We worked that out earlier. So that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Okay, so now there's got to be a 3 in one of those squares. There's got to be a 3 in one of these squares. There is no 3 here anymore. Oh, and right, and now we get to now we understand this clue, I think. Because how do we make that pair add up to 7 now, when they can't be 3, 4? Now, one option we had available was 1, 6, but that's not going to work now, because purple can never be a 1 or a 6 because of this beautiful, that's so clever, because of that quadruple clue. So this is not 1, 6, it's 2, 5, and there's a 2 there, so we know the order. So that's 2, that's 5, that's not 5 anymore, which seems to suggest that's 5. That's now a 4, apparently. So 4 has to live in purple by roping, so 4 goes there. These are not 2s. Two is in the green rope, so it's not in the yellow rope. So that's a 1, that's a 2. So yellow rope includes a 1. So 1 is in one of those squares. 5 is not in the... 5 is in the purple rope, so we can fill it in. 5 is in the purple rope, so we can fill it in. This is it's very clever, isn't it? It really is very clever. I don't think this is easy at all. How have I had an hour? How has this video been going on an hour? I literally just started. Okay, there's a 4 in one of those squares by roping. And I think I can limit the value. Or we know this is 7, 8 or 9, don't we? Well, we know it's not 9 actually. It's 7 or 8. because we know there's a 9 in one of these. Also, the maths wouldn't work. So if this is 7, this is 8. If this is 8, this is 9. And that's in a green rope. Okay, maybe that's not how to do this then. Wow. Okay. Well, where do I look now? I don't know. I am not sure. I know I have to put... Golly gosh, I don't know. This is so strange. 1, 6. I'm not sure whether I have to persevere now with the roping. I just don't know. Oh, I see. Okay, that's not an 8, because if I put a purple roped 8, that's an 8, and that's going to clash in this row. Good grief. So 8 is either in yellow or green. Be more useful if we knew it was in yellow, because then that would be a 7, and we get this digit done. I know one of these is a 6. Oh, yeah, that is useful. So there's a 6 in one of those, and there's a 6 in one of these. So we can ask where the 6 goes in row 1. Look, it can't be in there, can't be in there. And it seems, yeah, there's sort of a similar point. We've worked out the 6 is in one of these squares, so we actually now know that this is a 6. I wonder. I can't do it visually, but I'm just wondering if... No, I can't do it. Okay, I'm going to get rid of some colouring here, and we're going to reinstate some roping lines in the top of the grid and see what we can get to with that. So I think we've utilised all of the usefulness of that colouring on this side. So let's have a look at roping in the top rows. That square, those squares, and those squares are the same. Yeah, that's what I wondered. Okay, okay. I couldn't do it visually. In my head, I didn't start with this rope, but had I started with this rope, I would have seen that now. Look, if this is a 1, it goes up there in box 1, and it can't. So that's got to be 7, which means this is 3, which means that is not 3. Right. I was hoping that was going to do rather more. I mean, it does mean 7 is in one of these by roping. 7 is in one of those by roping. There might be... So we're almost, if this is right, we're almost going to have to play... oh, we might be able to get the 3, I think, in this box using the roping of this set. But let's keep going anyway. These are all the same. Let's make those dark green. And these can be the same. We'll make those grey. Now, what's that? That's in dark green. So 3 is in one of these. And therefore 3 in this box has to be in exactly that square, apparently. So it's a sort of combining of the two ropes. So that becomes 3. That becomes 1 by dint of our earlier logic. So 1 is now in the grey rope, which means it's here. Good grief. This is, I mean, it's fascinating. Okay, and now 6 has moved into the green rope. So 6 is in one of those squares. So 6 has got to be there now. That's quite useful. Yeah, that is useful. So that becomes a 1. That becomes a 3, 6 pair. That becomes a 1. So we've got 1, 3, and whatever that digit is at the top, which might be a 7. Yeah, that is a 7, 8, or a 9 by Sudoku. So that is a 7, 8, or a 9 by Sudoku, and that's in the red rope. Oh, so it could be 7 or 8, or probably 9 if that can be a 9. Right. Okay, so I think we have to keep doing this sort of thing and hope that we hit upon something to resolve what we've got left. So perhaps we look at this digit, which is 2, 4, 7 or 9, except that is in the grey rope, so it's not 4. So now it's 2, 7 or 9 going here. And it's in the grey rope, so it's 2, 7 or 9 going here. This can't be 6, because you can't put 6 in the grey rope, apparently. So that's got to be the 6, which is in the... It's in this rope. Oh, well, that's good. So that's got to be there, because we can't put it in the red rope now. So that the 8 goes there. That seems to say... Well, let's come back to what it's doing with 7, but I think it is doing something. So 8 and 7 are now in the red rope, and that can't be 7. So that's 7, which means this is 2. And that 7 goes down here and gives me an 8, 9, 7. Therefore, this is 8 by mathematics on this sequence. Wow. This is a seriously brilliant puzzle. Now that means I've got a 7, 9 pair here. So the purple rope is completed with a 7 or a 9. And a 4 or a 5. I still don't know the order. That's definitely not 7 now. So 2 or 9. Oh, 2 completes the grey rope. So that's 2, that's 2, that's 4. So that's 4, completing the green rope. Which means that top digit is 7 or 9. I still don't know. I still don't know what it is. This row I ought to be able to do. That's got to be a 9. So that's a 9. That's a 7. That's a 7. That's a 9. That completes my purple rope. So 7, 7, 3, 9 pair here. That seems to fix the 8 and the 6 over here. We need a 2 in one of those, so it must go there. 2, 1, 5 is the grey rope. That's an 8. That's a 9. Therefore, that's a 9, and that's a 3. And that's a 3, and that's a 6, and that's a 6, and that's a 9, and that's a 9, and that's a 3, and that's a 3, and that's a 7. And what a brilliant puzzle. That is so clever. Oh, goodness. How many people? 167 people have solved that in less than a month. Wow. I mean, the reason I'm surprised is I found that hard. Like, that was really... The break-in is incredibly clever, in my opinion, and brain-melting. Very original logic and really, really strange logic. Just sort of thinking about those squares and where they went in the cages that abutted them. That was really beautiful. But also the back end of it, the way that you get the interlocking ropes in box 1, and the way that somehow resolved the grid, all with the element of extreme symmetry. It's a brilliant puzzle, Math Pesto. It really is. Loved it. Loved it. Challenging again. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.